wake up, or what kind of brain damage she might have suffered if she did. But while her body was silent, Claire's mind was on a journey. She later described her coma as a series of vivid, hallucinatory landscapes. She wasn't unconscious. She was elsewhere. She remembered floating through vast, beautiful forests and feeling a sense of peace that was entirely disconnected from her physical pain. When she finally defied the odds and opened her eyes, she didn't wake up with a sense of tragedy. She woke up with a terrifying, beautiful clarity. She realized that the void we all fear isn't a place of horror. It is simply a place of stillness. That realization removed the power of fear from her life. She stopped waiting to be healthy before she started living. She looked at the medical machines keeping her alive and stopped seeing them as symbols of a broken life. Instead, she saw them as the bridge that allowed her to exist. She famously began to refer to her oxygen tank and her feeding tube as her accessories, treating them with the same casualness one might treat a pair of glasses or a favorite hat. Claire's work after this coma became a radical departure from the typical inspiration porn we see in the media. She didn't want to be your brave little girl. She founded Claire's Place Foundation to provide actual practical support for families, paying their mortgages while they sat in hospitals. But her most profound impact was her voice. She became a philosopher of the finite. She started a YouTube channel that wasn't about getting better, but about being here. She would film from her hospital bed surrounded by pillows and string lights, talking about the clutter of the human mind. She was called a little Buddha because she possessed a detachment that usually takes a lifetime to acquire. She understood that most people are walking around in a different kind of coma, a coma of someday. We think we will be happy when we get the job, when we find the partner, when we lose the weight. Claire looked at the camera and told us that someday is an illusion. She argued that you don't need to be whole to be meaningful. She showed us that a person can be in a hospital bed struggling for air and still be more alive than someone with perfect lungs who is wasting their time on petty grievances. Her daily life was a testament to this sharp focus. Every morning she had to undergo 4 hours of treatments. This involved wearing a vibrating vest to loosen the mucus in her lungs and taking dozens of pills just to digest a meal. For most, this would be a burden. For Claire, it was a ritual of maintenance for the vessel she was given. She didn't resent the vest. She used the time it took to vibrate her chest to think, to write, and to plan how she would change the world's perception of illness. She traveled the country as a public speaker, often appearing on stage with a backpack carrying her oxygen. She spoke to rooms full of healthy people and made them realize that they were the ones who were stuck. She taught that the hoard of life, the laughter, the art, the deep connections, does not require a 90-year lease to be valid. She lived with a dense intensity, packing more experience into 21 years than most do in 80. In 2018, Claire reached a crossroads. Her lungs were finally failing beyond the point of medical management. She was put on the list for a double lung transplant. It was a terrifying gamble. On one hand, the chance for a breath that didn't hurt. On the other, the risk of losing everything she had worked for. She approached the surgery with her signature exactness. She made videos about her fear, her hope, and her acceptance. The surgery was a success. For a brief moment, Claire Wineland had new lungs. But just moments after the procedure, a blood clot moved to her brain. She suffered a massive stroke. After a lifetime of fighting for every breath, after surviving the 1% odds so many times before, Claire was gone at the age of 21. It is easy to look at her death as a failure of medicine or a tragedy of fate. But to do so is to ignore everything she taught us. Claire didn't finish her story in the way we wanted, but she finished it with total integrity. She proved that a life is not a marathon where the goal is simply to cross the furthest finish line. A life is a piece of music. A short song can be just as perfect, just as complete, and just as moving as a long symphony. Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid the thought of the end. We treat death like a distant stranger we hope never to meet. We hoard our time, waiting for a perfect version of our health or our circumstances before we allow ourselves to truly be present. We think that if we care enough or work enough, we can outrun the inevitable. But Claire Wineland showed us that we live not in the duration of our years, but in the intensity of our attention. The finality of the end is not a punishment for having lived. It is the very thing that makes the experience a singular, unrepeatable work of art. You do not need more time. You need more exactness. Claire was here. She was exact. And that is a victory that even death cannot erase.